See, the reason why you're so good at your day job, at your 9 to 5 or at corporate is because you have a boss who's making sure that you clock in. You have HR who's making sure that you submit your hours. You have team members who will tell on you if you are not doing something correctly. So you got people who are looking over your shoulder all of the time. And believe it or not, that's providing you with accountability for you to actually be successful at your day job. But in your business, you don't have those types of luxuries. You have to show up for yourself unless you put yourself in an environment where you have people who understand where you're headed, who understand what it is that you're doing, and who can relate to you and in return hold you accountable. That is the power of community. Hey, I am Chanel Q, the brand hustler, and welcome back to another episode of the Hustle Talks podcast. I'm back behind my desk because my voice is still not back. But in the name of consistency, I am going to record this anyway. Today is going to be another short yet impactful episode. It seems like a lot of my hustle babes enjoyed last week's episode. That was, I think it was like 25 minutes, maybe even less, of really, really good and juicy information. And y'all were wishing me well and hoping that I get better soon and all the things. I receive all of that. And I'm so excited to have my voice back because my voice is my money maker, okay? I like to narrate my content. I like to obviously record YouTube videos. I like to go on live, narrate my stories on Instagram, all of the things. And you don't realize how much you use your voice for until you don't have it or until you sound like a raspy man. So here I am, another day, another week, sounding like Shane Q versus Chanel. But we're here. And today I am talking about something so good. We are talking all about how to get unstuck. All right? And the reason why I want to talk about this subject is because if you are a true viewer, listener, hustle babe, any of the things, you would have seen the first episode of Hustle Talks podcast, and you would have known that what drove me to even act and create the podcast was the passing of my grandfather. I also shed some light on some other things I was going through in the first episode. So if you haven't watched it, watch it, okay? It's all about how grief affects you in entrepreneurship and stop letting time slip by, okay? So it's a really, really good episode. But that happened in April of this year. And then in May, my grandfather's memorial service was the top of May, Mother's Day weekend. And immediately after that, I then had to leave to go to DR for a client retreat that I was hosting. So it's been nonstop back to back. And like I said in the last episode, I then ended up getting a viral infection while I was on that client retreat. So it's been a lot happening. I say this because I don't want to sound repetitive, neither do I want sympathy. I say this because we weren't able to perform as we should have as a business because of all of this. Right? And was I still able to make money? Absolutely. Was the business still running? Absolutely. But I just had certain goals set for myself, quite aggressive goals set for myself that we weren't able to achieve in April and in May because we experienced all of this. So I called it How to Get Unstuck because I feel as though your stuck may look a little bit different than mine. Your stuck may not be losing someone. It may not be grief. It may not be sickness. Your stuck may be sadness. Your stuck may be a lack of motivation. Your stuck may be a lack of clarity. Your stuck could be a series of things, but I'm pretty sure that at some point I've been there. At some point I've felt unmotivated. I am not motivated all the time. Heck, even to record this podcast right here, I just did a 2-hour live and I said, you know what, Chanel, I'm not going to skip Monday. Even though my voice isn't back, I need to sit down and record this podcast and we just need to get it up. So I didn't really feel motivated to do this after talking and teaching people for 2 hours. I also spent all of today, all of this week, being so productive in my business, whether it was hosting an 8-hour VIP day that turned into 10, whether it was hosting a mini VIP day, whether it was all of the preparation for Bomb CEO, which is open, by the way, whether it was all of the things. I have been exhausted. So even in this moment, I am not the most motivated, but I am showing up anyway because I am executing the plan that I have to get unstuck. So wherever you are, whatever your stuck is, I am going to share with you what I do to get unstuck. And this may work for you. This may not work for you, but I'm hoping that you find a piece of what I say, if not all of what I say, super helpful and beneficial. Before we get into it, just quick sidebar. Bomb CEO is open. My mentorship group is open. It is a community for people who are going to execute, people who are serious about achieving greatness and about unlocking their next level. I only want to work with people who are serious, women who are serious, and women who know they deserve the best and they're willing to go after it by elevating their mindset, skill set, and habit set. If that is you, open up the description box or click the link in the pinned comment and join Bomb CEO. At the time of you watching this, if you watch this when this episode is posted, we are about to do our very first giveaway. So throughout the first week, we are hosting a series of giveaways where we're giving away luxury prizes, a ton of designer gifts, all the things. And you only get to participate in the giveaway if you join within the first week. But the giveaways are spaced out throughout the first week, with the first one being held on Monday. So depending on when you're watching this, the first one may have been held, but you're still in time for the other giveaways. So definitely join, but also just join because you want a bomb mentor. Me, hello. You want a mentor who is going to help you elevate your brand. You want a mentor who is going to help you get to the multi-6-figure mark. You want a mentor who is going to help you talk yourself out of sadness, talk yourself out of doubt, talk yourself out of fear. You want a mentor and need a mentor who is going to give you the guidance so that way you can prevent mistakes and have a clear, faster path to success, whatever success may look like for you. Whether it's wanting a physical storefront, whether it's seeing success with your digital product business, whether it's seeing online success with your physical product business, whether it is getting brand deals, whatever it is. If I have done it, Bomb CEO is all here to guide you through exactly what I've done so that way you can level up and become your best self and mold into a Bomb CEO. So join now before we close doors, okay? But let's talk about how to get unstuck. I have 4 specific steps that I am going to share with you in this episode so that way you can get unstuck and aggressively go after your goals. All right, let's get it. Step number 1 to getting unstuck is to understand what got you there in the first place. You cannot get out of where you're at if you don't do self-reflection. Self-reflection is one of the most powerful skills that you can have. Being able to really see what went wrong, what could have happened better, what caused you to react this way. Self-reflection helps you become a better person overall in all aspects of life and all aspects of business. But specifically, when we speak about getting unstuck, it's important to understand what got you here, what got you stuck. Was it grief? Was it that you broke up with someone? Was it that you lost someone? Was it that you're no longer friends with someone? Whatever it is that got you to this point, it's important to just have a moment of stillness with yourself, to really feel those emotions and to understand what caused those emotions in the first place. That way you can heal yourself, 1, but then also so that you can better yourself, right? Because the reason why therapy works is because therapists give us the space to really share openly our thoughts and our emotions. And then they ask us with more like constructive questions. So that way we are able to think at a deeper level and really pull apart the layers of ourselves. What you do in therapy is a form of self-reflection. So if you can master the art of reflecting when you are alone and when you are by yourself, you are going to give yourself the power to always be able to pull yourself out of any situation that you may be placed in due to circumstances, that you may be placed in due to your actions, that you may be placed in due to somebody else's actions. You will always be able to get yourself out of a space if you understand the power of self-reflection. Okay, so first understand what got you there in the first place. That way you can heal and better yourself and you become a better version of yourself that will deal with that thing that got you stuck. The next time it comes around, you will be able to fight against it and maybe not get stuck, but instead be able to step over it and continue on your path of greatness. The second step that I do whenever I am stuck after I realized what got me here is I set realistic goals. I strongly believe in the SMART acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals. The biggest piece of the SMART acronym for me is realistic. Why? Because I am not Superwoman. I cannot do all things. I cannot do all things in one day. Neither can I do all things alone. And it's important that I understand that. It's also important that I understand the factors that are working for me and the factors that are working semi against me, so that way I can equip myself to better fight those battles that are stacked against me. Right? So it's not really understanding what's against me in a sense to give up. It's understanding what's against me in a way where I can prepare myself to conquer those things. And the reason why I put that underneath setting realistic goals is because you miss the mark when you set goals that are just out of this world ridiculous. You want to make sure that you're taking into account your energy, your effort, your time, your circumstances, and setting realistic goals. So what may be realistic for me may not be realistic for you. A great example of this is I can realistically set the goal to make $10,000 in 2 weeks because of where I'm already at in business, and also because of the experience and the access that I have to certain people, to certain resources, to certain tools, and to a certain community. I can make the decision to start a business today and launch it within the next 6 months or less. Why? Because of circumstances, because of a lot of things that I have within my reach that I can utilize as resources, whether it's financially, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's spiritually, all the things, right? So realistically for me, I have things playing in my favor. Just like, heck, Jeff Bezos, he can set a goal to say that he wants to make $1 million in a week. And that's realistic for him. Whereas for me, that's not realistic at the point where I'm at right now in my life. So for you, it may not be realistic to set a certain goal. You have to really analyze, once again, where you're currently at, what the effort looks like, what your circumstances look like. If you have 8 kids, you have to understand that it's going to take you a longer period of time to launch, or a longer period of time to execute a strategy within your business, because your time, especially if they're kids under 18, your time is taken by all of these kids. So you have to be realistic about the time that you can dedicate to your business. You may not be able to dedicate 40 hours a week to your business. You may only be able to dedicate 15 hours a week because you got to split it in between nap time and taking the kids to school and all the things. Whereas for me, I don't have kids. I don't have to work as hard. What is that? I'll try to repeat that audio. You know that audio with JT?
It's always going to be comparison, but they got to understand we live a totally different life. I don't have kids. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't have to go as hard.
Like, that thing is so funny to me. But no, seriously, I don't got kids. So I can dedicate more hours. I can dedicate 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours because I don't have anybody who needs me to feed them. I mean, well, I got a husband and he be hungry and I do got to stop and cook and all the things. So let me not say I don't got nobody that needs for me to feed him. But quite frankly, if I didn't cook, my husband gonna have to get up and go find food on his own, whether he cooks it or whether he buys it. Okay, so maybe you're right. I don't got nobody to cook for real. Okay, so you got people to feed if you got kids, and that means that's going to take from your time, right? So all in all, set realistic goals. And if you struggle with setting specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound goals, let me help you. Join Bomb CEO. We gonna set goals all day, every day. You're gonna have to set monthly goals. You're gonna have to set weekly goals, and you're gonna be held accountable. So definitely join Bomb CEO if you struggle with setting goals and sticking to them, or creating a to-do list that you're never checking off, all the things, and you really want to be serious and level up by executing and leveling up your mindset and skill set and habits and all the things. Definitely join Bomb CEO, okay? I'm gonna keep plugging Bomb CEO this whole episode because it really is bomb. And if you don't join, you are going to be missing out, okay? So now, step number 3, what I do to get unstuck is I then identify the weak areas. So based on the goal that I set, I identify the weak areas that I need to strengthen in order to be able to hit those goals. So there's a couple of areas that you want to check on. You want to get a pulse on a few areas in terms of your business and things like that. The first area that you want to check to see if it's weak is you want to check your brand. Your brand is composed of many different things. You have target audience, you have your story, you have your purpose, mission, and values and vision. You got your visuals, you have your messaging. You have so many things that play into your brand that if one of those things is off, it can ruin every single strategy that you attempt to do. And see, you think that the strategies aren't working simply because the strategies aren't good, when in reality, the strategy could not be working because your brand isn't good. And I know all about branding, which is why my name is The Brand Hustler. I focus on building brand-centric companies because your brand is the heartbeat of everything. If you have a strong brand, anything and everything that you do will be so much more successful and profitable. Okay. And that's obviously going to be one of the core things that we talk about in Bomb CEO. Is going to be about building a brand because we're here to build legacy brands. If you didn't watch the episode where I talked about legacy brands, it's episode 1. I talked about legacy brands and the impact that I want to leave behind. And you guys were sharing with me the impact that you want to leave behind too. So I know that you seriously are wanting to build a legacy brand. So if that's a weak area of yours, get the help by joining Bomb CEO. The second area that you want to identify if it's weak in is you want to identify if you have weak points in your data. So many different data points that you can check. But data should be everywhere. Data should be tracked on your website, should be tracked on your social media pages, should be tracked on your video platforms, your emails, your SMS, your customer satisfaction, everything, your customer experience, everything needs to be tracked with data. And so you need to look at your data to identify if there are any weak areas with your data points. The third area that you want to check for weakness is your strategy. Are you weak with strategizing? Do you lack having a strategy in place for a lot of things? Do you lack a strategic mind, period? If you do, you're always going to struggle because in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, especially, if you have been in business and you made some sales and you're finding that you're hitting this plateau, you're probably missing the fact that you do not have a strategic mind to think about how to make 1 + 1 × 3 = 5. Do you see what I'm saying? How to make equations that don't even seem like they make sense because you can figure out the strategy behind it. If you don't have a strategic mind and that's a weak area, then you need to work on strengthening that muscle. The third area that you want to check to see if it's weak is you want to check your mindset. Mindset, quite frankly, is the biggest piece of the puzzle and the biggest difference between people who succeed and people who fail. If you think that you will fail, you will fail. If you think that you are broke, you will be broke. Period. Your mind controls so much. And so if you do some self-reflection and you realize that, hey, I'm really beating myself up. I'm really having some trouble with doubt. I'm really having some trouble with fear. I'm really having some trouble with believing in myself. You need to fix that. Nothing will work unless you do. You need to fix your mindset. And the last and final area that you want to check to see if it's weak in is you want to check to see if your commitment is weak. Okay? Commitment is something that is hard when you don't have people holding you accountable. It's hard to show up every single day and do what you're supposed to do when you don't have people holding you accountable. See, the reason why you're so good at your day job, at your 9-to-5 or at corporate is because you have a boss who's making sure that you clock in. You have HR who's making sure that you submit your hours. You have team members who will tell on you if you are not doing something correctly or doing something a little bit too much under the table. So you got people who are looking over your shoulder all the time. And believe it or not, that's providing you with accountability for you to actually be successful at your day job. But in your business, you don't have those types of luxuries. You have to show up for yourself unless you put yourself in an environment where you have people who understand where you're headed, who understand what it is that you're doing, and who can relate to you and in return hold you accountable. That is the power of community. And that is one of the reasons why I created Bomb CEO. Okay. So if you lack accountability, you definitely need to find it. You need to get yourself a mentor. Me. No, but if you're right for me, for sure. If you're not, then find the mentor that's right for you. Find the mentor that can strengthen you in the areas that you're weak in. Find the mentor who speaks your language, who can break things down in a digestible way for you to understand. Find a mentor who is going to help you take action. Find a mentor who you can relate to. Find a mentor who is like just easy to talk to. If I am that person, great. If I am not, then find someone who meets all of that criteria for you. And then the fourth and final step that I take when I need to get unstuck is I create an action plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I'm sure that you heard that quote before, and if you haven't, there you go. But literally, if you set a goal, but you never actually sit down to think about what it takes to get there and to actually map out the steps, it's going to be 10 times harder. GPS exists for a reason. So when you are driving to an unknown destination, despite how fancy or exciting that destination may sound and look like visually when you pull it up on the internet, if you had no directions to get there, it would take you twice as long to actually reach to your destination. Versus if you use the GPS, you have the precise steps of how to get there. Heck, without the GPS, you probably are going to get lost. That is the power of an action plan. When you put a plan in place to reach your goals, you are able to shave off time. You are able to move strategically. You are able to take calculated steps. And one of the things I love about investing in myself and investing in people who've been there and done that is, guess what? They got the map. They give it to me. They got the directions. They give me the blueprint. And after I've seen several blueprints or several maps over and over again, that is what helps me develop a strategic mind where I now can create a set of directions to get to almost any goal that it is that I want to achieve. If you lack a strategic mind, you're never going to be able to create an action plan. If you do not have people around you who are good advisors, good advice givers, if you do not have the ability to hold yourself accountable, and unfortunately you don't have people around you who can hold you accountable, if you do not even have the knowledge to pinpoint what weak areas you could possibly have with your brand or what weak data points you could possibly have, you're going to suck at creating action plans. So I say that to say you need to figure out all the things that I said in the 3 steps before this one. in order to create an action plan that's actually going to make sense. And so when you're creating an action plan, you're going to do 3 things. You're going to map out the strategy that you need to take in order to make the goal happen. The breakdown that I like to use for this, I call it GST. It's where you have a goal, you have a strategy that will help you get to the goal, and then you have tactics within the strategy that are a part of how you will even make the strategy even happen. Right? So goals, strategies, tactics. And quite frankly, tactics can then break into tasks as well. And that is what develops your to-do list that you cross off your list day to day. So that is how I like to build out my strategies with that GST framework. So there you go. You can use that as well. But there's strategy everywhere you look in business. And quite frankly, if you split up your business into departments, there's strategies within each of those departments as well. So my business is split into 3 different departments, which is the brand and marketing department, the client experience department, and then operations. And so there's goals that can be set in each of those departments. There are operational goals, there are client experience goals, there are brand goals, there are marketing goals. Heck, there's sales goals within the brand and marketing goals. And so because there's so many different goals that can be set, there's so many different strategies that you have to think about. So figure out, based on your weak areas and based on the goal that you set, what strategies need to be in place. Where are your weak areas? Where do they fall within your business? Which department do they fall into? And create a strategy plan to combat those things. And when you're creating a strategy plan, you want to make sure that your strategy plan is built with milestones. You need to have checkpoints for yourself, and you need to have milestones where you can say, once I reach to this is going to be what I do next. Once I achieve X, now I'm going to do Y. And once I achieve Y, then I'm going to do Z. That is what milestones can look like for you. Okay? That's what milestones are. And so after you have the strategy plan that's filled with milestones, you then need to map out who and what you need to help get you there. What tools do you need? What systems do you need? What processes do you need? And then who do you need to either guide you? Who do you need to either learn from? Or who do you need to either hire or outsource to that can help you get there? You are not Superwoman. You are not put on this earth to do everything by yourself. People exist for a reason, whether it's because you need a guide, whether it's because you need a teacher, or whether it's because you need a helper, someone who is on your team. People exist for a reason. One of the biggest lessons that I learned that allowed me to achieve my first 6 figures is understanding that I do not know everything. I cannot be everything. Okay? Nobody's telling you that you have to build out this 25-person team. I'm not even telling you that you need to build a team before you hit your first 6 figures. What I'm telling you is that you can use the power of hiring somebody by outsourcing them to do like a certain project, outsourcing to an expert, or getting yourself a mentor that can give you the answers because they've invested in these things for you. They've done it before you. So just to recap, the 4 steps that I take whenever I'm stuck to get unstuck is 1, understand what got me to that place. 2, set realistic goals. 3, identify my weak areas. And then 4, create an action plan to get unstuck. I hope that this was super helpful to you. If it was super helpful, I want you to comment down below and let me know which one of these steps do you think you struggle with the most? Which one of these 4 steps you struggle with the most? What are your weak areas? Let me know down below. I want to have a conversation with you because that's what these podcasts are for. We need to have some conversations in the comments, okay? We are a podcast community. And if you want to join my mentorship community, Bomb CEO, so that way you can meet with me every single week and strategize and build mindset and build better habits. If you want to be a part of a community of women who just get it, a community of women who are achieving to unlock their next level, who know that their network is their net worth, right? Who know and believe that there is a faster way to success if you actually put the strategic cap on and get the strategic guidance from somebody who knows just what to do. And if they don't know what to do, has the resources and the people at their reach to be able to get you the answers. Find somebody like that to be your mentor. And if I am that person for you, then definitely join Bomb CEO right now while doors are open. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this episode in the show notes. And I'll also pin it as a comment on YouTube. So I hope to see you within my mentorship community. I hope to see you as a Bomb CEO. And until the next episode, please, please, please like this video, share this episode with somebody that you know it can help. And if you are not subscribed or not following the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, please do it. And leave me some positive feedback. It really does help. And it shows me what you like, but then it also helps me create more and more episodes and more content overall. So I'll see y'all next week in the next episode of Hustle Talks. Peace.